Okay, picture this. It's January 4th, 2012. A single, pretty unassuming image pops up on the internet. But this wasn't just another meme. It was a challenge, one that would launch one of the most complex and persistent mysteries the internet has ever seen. It was part invitation, part test, and a total rabbit hole. So, what was this thing? Let's dive in and find out.
So this is the message. It showed up anonymously on 4chan, of all places. And right away, people knew this wasn't just some clever troll or a simple riddle. No, this was the beginning of a global scavenger hunt, something nobody had ever really seen before. It was put out there by a group calling themselves Cicada 3301, and they made it clear they were looking for a very specific type of person.
And right from the get-go, this whole thing just felt different. The sheer complexity, the intentional design, it was obvious this was no prank. This was serious. And it absolutely lit a fire under communities of cryptographers, online sleuths, and puzzle lovers all over the world. They just jumped right in.
And believe it or not, the first step wasn't some crazy complex cipher. The challenge was to find a message hidden inside the image file itself. And pretty quickly, someone had the idea to open the JPEG file, but in a text editor. And there it was, tucked away at the very end of all the code, a hidden message in plain text. This was the first real clue, and it was all the proof they needed. This was the real deal.
But that first clue, that was just the appetizer, the very beginning. It basically threw everyone headfirst down a rabbit hole of complex cryptography, steganography, and all these obscure references to art, literature, and philosophy. And you want to know the best part? The reward for solving one of these insane puzzles was just an even harder puzzle.
The puzzle chain was just relentless. I mean, look at this. We have a pretty good idea of the path thanks to Joel Erickson, one of the few people who actually solved it on his own. It starts simple enough with a Caesar cipher. That leads to a clue about steganography, which, when you apply it to the original image, gives you a Reddit link and a book code. You crack that, and suddenly you have a phone number in Texas. You call the number, get another clue, and that eventually leads you to a hidden address on the Tor network, the dark web.
Okay, so let's talk about steganography for a sec, because it's super important here. It's not the same as encryption, which just scrambles a message so you can't read it. No, steganography is the art of hiding a message's existence in the first place. You're hiding a secret file inside another, totally normal-looking file. This became Cicada's signature move, hiding clues in plain sight, right inside the image files.
So when people called that Texas phone number, this is what they heard. Very good, you have done well. And then another clue. 3 prime numbers are associated with the original image, and 3301 is one of them. And the solution was just brilliant. It was right there in front of their faces the entire time. The original image's dimensions. They were 509 by 503 pixels. And guess what? Both 509 and 503 are prime numbers. You multiply those two with 3301 and bam, you get a URL. The hunt was back on.
All right, and this is the point where things just went to a whole new level. The puzzle literally broke out of the digital world and spilled into the real one. It forced people to actually go outside into the physical world. This was the moment everyone knew this was not some game being run from a single person's basement.
And yeah, Cicada 3301 wasn't just a one-and-done thing. They came back with new puzzles in 2013 and 2014, with more breadcrumbs appearing as late as 2017. The key thing here is that every single authentic message was signed with something called a PGP signature. You can think of it like a digital fingerprint that's impossible to fake. It was the only way to know you were following the real Cicada, and not some copycat.
So the next clue that dropped was a list of 14 GPS coordinates. Now, we're not talking about spots in just one city or country. These coordinates pointed to lamp posts and street corners in places like Warsaw, Paris, Seoul, Sydney, all over the world. And if you actually went to one of these spots, you'd find a poster taped up with the Cicada logo and a QR code. I mean, the global coordination for this is just mind-blowing.
And yeah, that was the big turning point. The moment when it clicked for everyone. This wasn't some lone wolf hacker. This was a serious, well-funded, highly organized global group. I mean, think about it. To place physical posters in that many countries all at the same time, that takes real money, real planning, and real people on the ground. Which, of course, brings us to the biggest mystery of all. We've seen how they did it, the crazy puzzles, the global hunt, but now we have to ask who and why. Who exactly is Cicada 3301, and what in the world do they actually want?
Right. That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's fueled endless speculation for more than a decade now. Are they a government agency like the NSA or the CIA running a recruitment program? Are they some kind of modern-day secret society, a group of cyber mercenaries? Well, let's take a look at the two main theories.
So on one side, you have the government recruitment theory. And it makes sense, right? The puzzles look a lot like the kind of tests that agencies like the NSA or GCHQ in the UK use to find top-tier cryptography talent. But then there's this leaked email. It was apparently sent to the winners of that first 2012 puzzle, and it paints a totally different picture. It suggests Cicada is more like a think tank of cypherpunks, totally focused on privacy and liberty.
And this quote is supposedly right from that email. It says, "We are an international group. We have no name. We are drawn together by common beliefs that tyranny and oppression of any kind must end, that censorship is wrong, and that privacy is an inalienable right." So they're not framing themselves as a government spy agency, but as a decentralized group of activists fighting for freedom online.
But here's the funny thing, kind of the anticlimax of the whole first round. What happened to the winners, the chosen few? They were invited to a private forum and asked to get to work. They were supposed to help build new open-source privacy software. But it turns out the thrill of the chase is a lot more exciting than the grind of coding. Most of these elite puzzle solvers just got bored and wandered off. So where are we now? Well, after those first few years of puzzles and recruitment attempts, Cicada basically went dark. They went quiet. But they left something behind. One final, enormous, and still unsolved challenge. And this is it. The final challenge is all about a book that Cicada 3301 wrote itself. It's called the Liber Primus, which means first book, and it seems to be their grand manifesto. It's written in these strange runes, and it's just packed with philosophy, ideology, and layer after layer of encryption. This thing is the final boss, the ultimate test. And this is the incredible part. Even now, after all these years of a global community of brilliant people throwing everything they have at it, 56 pages of the Liber Primus are still completely unsolved. They're a total black box. Whatever secrets Cicada wanted to share, they are still locked away inside that book. You know, the obsession with solving this book has led to some really weird moments. Take the Red Book hype of 2019. A documentary came out and a ton of new people flooded the community. You can see the spike in new members right here. And suddenly, hundreds of them became absolutely convinced that the key was in Carl Jung's Red Book. It was a classic case of groupthink, of people seeing patterns where there were none. And the result? Despite all that excitement, zero. Not a single verifiable lead came out of it.
I think a Reddit user really summed up the community's feeling of awe perfectly. They wrote, "Making a hard puzzle isn't hard, but making it really fucking hard that only a few very bright minds can solve it, without being too hard, that just seems so unbelievably difficult." And that just nails it, doesn't it? That was the genius of Cicada. They didn't just make it hard, they calibrated the difficulty so perfectly that it was always just on the edge of possible.
The last we heard from them really was in 2016, with a message that basically said, hey, keep working on the Liber Primus. Then one last PGP-signed message in April 2017 warning people about imposters. And after that, nothing. Just silence. The creators vanished. The puzzle is, to this day, officially unsolved.
So, what's the big takeaway here? Well, the Cicada puzzles weren't just about being a computer whiz. To even stand a chance, you needed this really unique blend of skills. You had to be a master cryptographer, sure, but you also needed to know about literature, philosophy, art, and music. And more than anything else, you needed to have this relentless, almost obsessive persistence. And that kind of leaves us with a final question to chew on. Cicada 3301 really is one of the last great, true mysteries of the internet. We live in an age of instant answers, right? You can Google anything. Every secret gets leaked. So in a world like that, what's the value of a mystery that just remains unsolved?
Maybe the goal wasn't just to find a handful of brilliant people. Maybe the whole point was to leave us with something to wonder about, to remind us that there's still value in a true, enduring mystery.